Hello. Right, so we're here in Vittorio Veneto. Have I said that right?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Cool. In northern Italy, and I've got Filippo here with me from Moduline. We're at the Moduline factory. Why are we here?
Well, today we're going to discover a new product, and we will show to Jestic team the pressure cooker using steam to cook any kind of food in short time, high quality, and energy saving mode.
Very exciting, and our chefs are already inside getting ready for it. So let's go and have a look. Filippo, we're here in the Moduline test kitchen. I don't know anything really about pressure steaming.
Okay.
Can you explain what it is as if you're explaining it to someone who knows nothing, basically?
Okay. First of all, before getting into the topic of pressure steaming food, we need to think about the fact that when we are cooking our food, we are trying to give heat to the food itself. And to do so, we need a tool to get the heat to penetrate this food we want to eat. Because cooking the food, it makes it more flavorful and something, more edible and also nicer to look at.
Yeah.
So there's different tools to reach to have the heat reaching the food, and which are like in the gas state or in the liquid state.
Yeah.
For example, we can cook any food in convection heat, so where we have forced air pushing
The combis you've
exactly
got. Yeah,
pushing
okay.
the heat through the food to reach the core quicker, or like we used to do in the past in the stove. Okay, our
Right.
oven at home, which was like static. Please think about the fact that the heat, when there's air involved, it is never static. We would say natural convection instead of forced convection when you are using a combi.
Right.
So in your oven at home is like static but natural convection because of the thermodynamics involved in it. Okay? So that would be slower, because you don't put any additional force to penetrate the food. The convection would be instead more aggressive. Now, steam, which is in the gassy state, we can say that steam is much more effective compared to the air, to the hot air, getting into the food. In fact, this would be 1,000 times more effective than the convection hot air.
Right, okay. Yeah.
Now, said so, the steaming of the food, it can be done naturally, just putting like a pot with some boiling water, a little net with the food, and this, evaporation would go through the food and would be gentle. So it would take a certain time, but still very, very productive. Then with the invention of the combi steamer, we actually gave more energy to this steam. And we have two different ways to produce the steam. We have certain brands which produce the steam in the boiler, and because of the saturation in the boiler, then the steam would be going into the cavity, the chamber, cooking chamber, and it would saturate that. And that would be what we call saturated steam, 99%, depending on the position about the sea level, okay? So 99% at sea level.
Right.
98, 97 when you start climbing up.
Yeah, so this is where it starts to get a little bit scientific.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, but
right. So
this is like a principle,
yeah.
physics principles. So 99% would be the good steam,
Yeah.
okay, because it's saturated in perfect balance between gassy state and liquid state. Okay,
Right.
so it's not condensated which would be lower than that temperature, and is not overheated, which would be higher than 99. So at that point, we have another way to produce steam in a combi. With the steam injection, how does it work? We actually spray water on top of the elements, which are very hot, around 350, 400 degrees, and this nebulization on top of the heating element would create steam. In that case, the steam would be overheated, because in that area of the cavity it would be around 140, 130, and then when it's spread over the cavity with the convection of the motor ventilator, okay, in that case would be at the desired temperature thanks to a thermostat, okay? But then again, this would be defined overheated steam and dry steam. So let's go back again. Yeah. Condensated is when it's wet.
Right, okay.
From, I would say, 65 to 95. Then you have saturated between 95 and 99, and then over 99 to any temperature you desire. Let's say 140, 130, 140, it would be dry steam.
Right.
Okay? Now, still we have no pressure.
Okay.
Pressure is still outside the equation. Now, with all these three means, with wet steam, it takes longer to cook. With the saturated, a reasonable time, and with the overheated, yes, we can accelerate the process. However, we risk to damage, especially in vegetables, greens, you damage the surface. Because you basically, over 105, 110, you burn that chlorophyll. So this is kind of this situation. Now, imagine at home, again, we do have a pressure pot. I mean, we can buy it in the stores.
Yeah.
And what does that? Generally, when you need to do like a soup or cook legumes that takes a lot of time, you basically accelerate. What do? You have some water in the pot.
Yeah.
You have your food. You heat it up. Of course, this water is going to turn into steam, but because of the fact that it is sealed, this steam is going to build up the pressure inside of it. So this pressure will help the steam to penetrate the food even quicker than it would without any pressure.
Right.
So if I said convection, 1 to 50 is capable of penetrating the food. Steam 1 to 1,000, well, with pressure is 1 to 10,000. So 10 times more than steam, there's natural steam. So this is very basic principle that you can observe in your house. When you bring this technology to a sophisticated machine which is able through electronics to control pressure and everything, well, then you give also quality, not only speed to the cooking process. So let's make an example. Let's take some greens, for example, broccolis, which have, generally speaking, a lot of chlorophyll on top of it. We, first of all, cook them in a short time, and the range of cooking is 45 seconds, even 30 seconds, up to 1 minute and a half. But this is only the advantage in time, so you can be more productive. But the pressure also helps you to keep and to contain the water properly contained into the food, to stay there, not to move outside when you heat it up, because this is a natural process. You give heat and the water evaporates. In this case, it doesn't. And also you put in pressure on top of this food, and you add a little more weight. So actually the moisture contained in these is actually higher than what it was in the beginning. So the pressure is actually giving a better yield, better quality, because at that temperature, even if it's overheated, because of the pressure, still keeps the environment saturated, okay? Then you have quality, speed, and weight. So you can serve more food at a better quality, and you are more productive because of the time saving.
Okay.
Okay? So this is let's say, the basic concept of pressure plus steam.
Okay.
Okay, now.
So you talked about, you know, my mum had a pressure cooker. She used to cook stew in it and stuff like that. Right. So I get that principle. This pressure steamer here, is that basically taking the same principles?
Yeah.
But making it commercial?
Correct.
How does that work?
Okay, so in your pressure cooker at home, you are working vertically.
Yeah.
Here, you just tilt the cavity horizontally.
I can see he's loading it
Okay,
now.
so you load the cavity with 3 standard pans, 80 millimeters deep, and what you have is basically a cavity with a door that has 3 safety lock. It is tested up to bear 2 bars of pressure. So the cavity itself, it doesn't make anything. It's just made of thick 316 ASI stainless steel to, last for the durability of it.
A bit more heavy duty than Mum's one at home.
Exactly. So you have a very heavy door to protect the user, of course, because you need to be safe in this case.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, this unit, for example, it would not open if there's any pressure over 0.02 bars inside the machine.
Right, okay.
In order to avoid any undesired jet of steam in your face or any pressure against the operator. So the cavity itself is just receiving the steam from the boiler.
Okay.
And that same boiler is pressurized. It works between 1.5 and 2 bars. So again,
that's quite a lot, right?
Yeah, but you know, this is needed because you need to accelerate also the production of the steam. So you produce the steam in the boiler with very efficient heating elements, okay? You give pressure to this steaming process, okay? So what happens is with pressure, it reaches up the saturated steam temperature of 99 really quickly.
Okay.
And as soon as it is saturated, is transferring all this steam into the cavity, which itself, it's sealed.
Yeah.
It's closed. So it will be saturated really quickly, okay? And because of the radial pressure you have on the round cavity, the pressure of the steam is reaching from any single radial point.
Right.
So this is very important for the result of the penetration of the heat. So it works really simply. You have an electronic control. You choose your temperature.
Yeah.
You can operate it with time, if you already know the time of cooking of your recipe, or you can apply a core probe to your
I saw
food.
that. I saw Chef Polo putting probe in.
Yes.
Does that
correct.
come with it, or do you need to?
It is standard.
Okay. So it's attached to the unit. Okay.
It is attached inside, so no risk to cut it, break it, lose it.
Yeah.
No risk at all. So once you decide if you want to work with time or with core probe, you decide what temperature you want to cook, and thanks to the facility of the software, you can actually program up to 9 phases of this cooking cycle.
Right.
Now,
9 phases.
9 is sometimes way too much, but I would say that for certain cooking, for certain recipes, 2 or 3 phases are really interesting because you can start, I would say, cooking at steam at like 105 with a low pressure, okay, and then finish up the product with the maximum pressure we have. And we are the only one in the market that can reach 1.2 bars in the cavity, where the competition reaches only 1 bar.
Okay.
Now, what is the difference between 1 and 1.2? It's the temperature. Because with 1 bar, the maximum temperature you can reach is 117. With 1.2 is 122, which means that you can give like an extra boost in temperature, so accelerate a little bit the process, okay? And you can also, at the end of the cycle, in case you need to do so, you can sterilize, because 122 is the right temperature sufficient to sterilize the product.
Right, okay.
and you can certify this, because you see there's a USB port from which you can download your ASAP diagram of the cooking. So you have all the details. You can actually use them to bring them to the health department or whatever to show how you are doing your work.
Keep the food inspectors happy.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
Cool.
Now,
you've mentioned speed a few times. Now, I know that there'll be people wanting to do things in a combi or do things in a combi.
Yes.
What kinds of foods are advantageous to cook with a pressure steamer?
Certainly all kinds of shellfish, fish in general. You would save between 1/10 or like half the time you would take in a combi. And again, I want to stress the fact with a different quality though.
Yeah.
I mean, texture
it's
not comparable. You are quicker, but actually much better in quality and yield.
Because you're preserving all the goodness with the pressure steamer.
And yield. This is one aspect. Vegetables, any kind of greens, much quicker.
Yeah.
And again, greener than the combi ones.
Yeah.
And even greener than any top quality combi. And I will not mention, but top brands cannot just reach that quality on the greens.
So we actually did some greens earlier, and there's some footage that I'll show where it actually came out, and like I say, it's broccoli, and it came out greener than when it went in, which is I've never seen that happen before. So that was really interesting. What are the foods? So fish, you've mentioned fish, that's quite delicate generally, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But salmon, for example, like fillet of salmon, 2-3 minutes, and you don't spoil it. You still leave the moisture and the fat itself of the fish. You don't melt it down. Right. Because you reach quickly the core of the food thanks to the pressure. Any fish, cod, you can even cook it without put it in in water to just rehydrate it like you are supposed to do when you cook it in the combi. You can do it like directly. Any bean directly with no water, dry bean, no water before, like 24 hours, you just do it straight there. So you save like a day. Yeah. Okay, but let's not limit the use of this machine to just quick serve, which is one portion of the business. We've been doing testing this yesterday and today with meat in general. I think it's a really good friend of pre-production when you need to cook and prepare in bulk, especially when you have CPUs, big hotels, even like big distribution like supermarkets. You need to pre-cook quite good amount of meat, and
which takes a long time normally.
Generally, because for example, pork belly, okay, if you wanted to do it in the standard way, you would do it like in 4 hours. Okay, here we showed that in 1 hour and 10 minutes you have perfect pork belly steamed to the depth. With the right temperature, with a probably weight loss of around 20%, which is, very good. And then bake it in a combi in convection mode in 12 minutes, and you would have your perfect dish for the UK market, for example. Okay, this is just one example.
Sunday carveries, things like that. That would be perfect for that.
But even a piece of big chunk of beef, or like pork shanks. Today we will do a test of all these items, and you will see that roughly between 45 and 1 hour we can pre-produce any meat to the like and to the core temperature, perfect to be finished in a combi 7 minutes, 5 minutes, 12 minutes. So you always have, if you blast chill them and put it in vacuum bags, you have your line ready for 10 days, 15 days, and you just use what you need. You don't need to bake every day certain amount of food, and if you don't sell it, throw it. It's a very good saving machine as well. So take a look. Like they, you know.
So Paolo's, just explain what Paolo's done there. He's taken.
Yeah, he actually did some pan brioche. You know, this is the bread that you use normally with foie gras and all this. So it's a sweet bread. So what he did, he prepared like the rolls. He steamed them in the pressure steamer for 6 minutes only, and then he's finished them 10 minutes in the convection mode in the combi steamer. Now, what is the result? Not only like opening and giving much more air, so making the bread softer and lighter, but the big advantage is that if you leave them on the table for a couple of days, after 2 days, this bread will still be fluffy and soft.
Very good.
So this is the advantage of the pressure.
Sorry, I'm going to butt in here. Is it only brioche you can do, or can you do other kinds of?
No, he does breadsticks. He does bigger bread, anything.
So it's not just a brioche dough. It's
no, today we did it for the sandwiches.
Look at that. We'll get a proper shot of it in a minute.
It's very hot. It's very hot. It's very hot. So,
right, okay. So we've talked about some of the foods that are advantageous to use in a pressure steamer. Now, if I've got a limited size in my kitchen, that's quite a big unit.
Yes.
So I'm probably going to, say I had a similar setup.
Yeah.
You've got your pressure steamer, you've got your combi.
Yeah.
And you want as much flexibility as possible using those two appliances, for example.
Yeah.
What else can you do in it that?
Well, you can do anything you want when it comes to steaming. For example, all the custards you want to do sous vide or just straight in the pan. You can do creme caramel. You can do creme brulee. You can do anything that can be steamed. Honestly, so it's not right just to do fish and vegetables because this is the misconception of people looking at the past market of these units. The combi killed a little bit the market of these units in the recent years, but now it's coming back on because you see, the beauty of the system is giving you the best quality out of the raw materials.
Yeah.
And then you have like a carvery, okay, good. You can have a combi in your carvery to finish your product. Do you have like a grill restaurant? You put like a broiler or a grill. You can still combine that kind of steaming with another finishing.
Yeah.
You don't have that facility. You want to do like a low temperature cooker. After that, still you can do that.
Yeah.
You want to braise it in your brat pan, fine. Anything can be coupled to that unit.
Yeah.
So that would be your center of production, and then your creativity would give you the flexibility of any machine to use after that.
Okay, so it doesn't really limit you on what you can cook.
No.
It's all about the chef, really,
yes,
isn't it?
correct.
Okay, cool.
Correct.
Thanks, Filippo. Let's go and cook some food, and I need to try some of that bread.
Sure.
It's absolutely
You
delicious.
need that. Thank you very much.
Right,
Thank
let's
you
crack on.
for your